Woo! Pinkertons.
Yeah, the British sirens go, beg pardon, beg pardon, beg pardon. History is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
Good evening, gentlemen, and of course, codename Doc. My name is Yu, and I have been a witness to some of the union hijinks your episodes of late have described, including a major retailer that I worked for that had signs plastered all over for 800 numbers for managers to call if any of the employees mentioned the union. We, of course, would get off work on our overnight shift, go out at 7 o'clock in the morning for several beers, and referred to this as the union meeting. Doing this in front of several higher-ups in the company resulted in our direct supervisors being pulled in for an interrogation with the company union busters. It was quite hilarious. Feel free to use my name and voice on the air. Again, this is you. I thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Union, huh?
Yep.
I saw what you did there. I heard what you did there. So, I mean, that happens, right? That happens so often, and you don't hear about a lot of recourse taken or any options for recourse on the parts of employees. You know, in another life, very brief anecdote, I worked with a logistics company in the United States and abroad, and stuff like unions and OSHA were a joke. Let me say it this way. OSHA was a joke that all the upper management found unfailingly hilarious, and unionization was, as you've depicted, a fireable offense. And there's not much you can do about it depending on where you're at in life, how much money you have to self-fund a legal battle, or the state you work in, like a so-called right-to-work state.
Well, yeah, it is funny. You know, I've only worked in one place, Ben. Really, well, two places, but mostly one place. And in our offices, we've always had all the OSHA signage that you have to have up, required by law.
Yeah.
And nobody looks at that. Nobody pays attention to those things. Those are laws. Those are important things. And they're for you as an employee, as a worker. But they're just kind of disregarded, at least in my experience.
Often that seems to be the case. And, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have the visibility to say that is the case in the majority of industries or anything like that. But I know that I see that stuff, like you said, ignored. It's a dusty laminated sign somewhere, and nobody really looks at it these days unless they screwed up and forgot their phone, right? So when people forget their phones, they'll read anything, So
yeah, when you're making coffee.
Right.
Put those
You're
eyes on
microwaving something. You're like, what am I going to do for this 3 minutes? Okay, OSHA, what's up?
Well, I have the right to, what is this? Man. Let's go to another message from somebody. Thank you for writing in. This is from Milk Crate. They say, hey guys, you can call me the Milk Crate. If you want to know more about me and the name, I can tell you the story later, but I just finished listening to your Union Busters episodes, and as an apprentice at my local IBEW, do we know what that is, guys?
It's the International Bureau of Elmo Wankers. Before the Tickle Me Elmo, there was the Wank Me Elmo, and they had a union. No, it's the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, I think.
Okay. So we're going back to Milk Crate. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers.
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
And Milk Crate is appreciative of the story being told. This is Milk Crate. Although I am obviously pro-union, there's some sketchy things that go on the laborer's side depending on which local you're a part of. As a union member, my goal is not to screw over my employer, but to build up their reputation as well as mine by doing a good job so that we can both continue to profit. Unfortunately, not everyone sees it that way, with some secretive groups known as Fleas, Fleas, within the union going so far as to sabotage jobs for the, quote, sake of the brotherhood. What? That's me.
So you got your fleas and you got your scabs.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Some locals have a tight-knit personality, akin to gangs, where they go so far as to say that if you don't drive a certain make of vehicle, you'll get your tires slashed, and you'll be targeted by threats and actual violence until you leave that job or that local or get an approved vehicle. Other places like Hawaii and New York City are notoriously against having, quote, outsiders, official union IBEW members traveling for work from other locals in their jurisdictions. So that makes sense, I guess, in some weird way, but not allowing IBEW members from another state to come in. And they will blatantly discriminate against anyone not from their home local. The majority of the IBEW isn't like this, but places and people like that do exist and are a direct result of the nature of unionizing. Oh, interesting. Okay, now that's a statement. A direct result of the nature of unionizing.
Yeah, please finish. I've definitely got some perspective on this.
Sure. On a good note, though, the IBEW has been surprisingly pro-women since its conception in the late 1800s. Same rate of pay from the beginning with equal rights and representation. As far as voting and politics, most people I know have views that differ from the political party that gives us money, and we don't experience negative kickback for having our own personal opinions or voices. With everything, there's a good and a bad side, but unions are, in my humble opinion, a good thing in a world where employers can't seem to retain decent behavior towards their employees.
That's a statement too, and absolutely accurate. But I used to work in a theater, and there was a union, for theater workers, stagehands or whatever, and a lot of the like older guys that had been in it for a long time. Not all of them, but some of them just had this attitude of just like doing the bare minimum all the time, and just there was this kind of like malaise associated with, well, I'm protected, therefore I don't actually have to try that hard. Maybe that was just my situation, but it sounds like this is a product of kind of that same attitude. This is more outward, like violent kind of discrimination, but there is certain kinds of like cronyism and sort of like, like you said, this kind of gang-like mentality where it's like, well, I'm protected, therefore, you can't mess with me, therefore I can kind of do whatever I want.
To me, well, yeah, I mean, I hear you, but to me, it reads more as someone or some small group saying, don't take my or our work from us, right? Like,
Sure.
Stay out of my backyard because that's where I work kind of thing.
Yeah, there's that, but there's also, the basic idea from the journeyman of old, which is saying, hey, if we all agree we have to be paid a living wage for this, then, you could call it price fixing too, but if we all agree to do this, then they can't exploit other people.